Yeah, I think that's how a lot of Bears fans and definitely players and coaches feel today. The Bears lost Sunday night last night to the Houston Texans in NRG Stadium 19-13. Offensive line is still struggling along with rookie quarterback Caleb Williams going 23 for 37 for 174 yards and 2 INTs. The Bears defense had a nice game versus a potent offense and a star under center in CJ Stroud. But let's begin where we usually begin. Josh Schrock, our Bears insider, and let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Where do we initially place this blame at? Let's start with the offensive line. Listen, I know there are people out there that love the Bears and don't like us because something that we've talked about profusely for seasons was this offensive line. Josh, did you see anything, or just Josh in general? What were your thoughts on the offensive line play? They didn't have it going in pass game or run game, and nothing can take place when you're not doing either in the NFL.
Look, the O-line was complete. It's dreadful. It's dreadful, right? It's not just the 7 sacks, the 11 hits, 36 pressures. Caleb's pressured on 48% of his dropbacks, which is insane. I mean, I was watching the tape this morning, and it's pretty much everyone. Like Coleman Shelton one, we can start there. Not the answer at center. Like, he's getting straight up walked back into Caleb's lap pretty much every snap. The probably handful of times that he doesn't, when Caleb has a clean pocket and can step up, it looks good, right? He delivers it on time, structure, it's all good. Coleman Shelton's just getting absolutely bullied. And I think we can understand now why the initial plan was that Ryan Bates was going to be the center, and they had to kind of mix things up due to injuries and Nate Davis being kind of unreliable. And now Ryan Bates is hurting on IR, so that Coleman Shelton's just going to be the center. There are no other options. He's got to play better. And I think when we talk about strength versus speed and technique, the speed and technique's not working. He's getting bullied, and even on stretch run plays where he's got to get to the second level, he's getting beat, right? The linebacker is just blowing past him, safety's blowing past him, and they're getting nothing out of it. So we start there. Last night, man, I know Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are awesome. They really are. Those are two of the best, but Darnell Wright's got to be better. Coleman Shelton is a legit just a guy center. If he's going to stink, that Darnell Wright was the number 10 overall pick. He cannot be getting whooped like that. Danielle Hunter just fed him his lunch over and over and over again. That's unacceptable. Braxton Jones got destroyed all night. And here's the thing, for the Bears, it's funny. It's it always seems to be we played really good players at X. Last week it was, they had Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat. And this week it's they got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. It's it's the NFL, man. There are good freaking players everywhere. The technique just can't be bad when you're playing good players. You don't play the Panthers 17 games out of the year. You just have to be better. Darnell Wright and Tevin Jenkins are your two best linemen, and they've been horrible. They have been bad. Caleb has no time. And then in the run game, Cole Kmet is missing assignments. Mercedes Lewis has been slow and bad. We have 4 false starts, a delay a game out of a TV timeout. It's inexcusable. It is all this talk about the best situation ever for number 1 overall pick, all these weapons. It doesn't mean a damn thing if he's going to get pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. And it starts with, if the line's going to be bad, Shane Waldron's got to be better. Shane Waldron has got to understand, okay, we got to cobweb the slow developing play action, pull the guard this way. That's not working, man. We got to get the ball out. We got to scheme something up for DJ. We got to scheme something up for Cole. Rome has not been good. He's not getting open. He doesn't have the chemistry. He ran the wrong route on the final play. If he runs the right route that Caleb called, he's probably wide open and they move the chains. So look, it's all bad, but Shane Waldron's the guy who's got to have the answers, right? We sat here for all summer and said, great hire, right? Really smart guy. He's worked for all these people, highly regarded, great teacher, knows how to use his personnel. I'm not seeing it, man. We're throwing swing screens to Gerald Everett and having Rome Odunze block for him, and it's getting blown up for a loss of 3. The run game, you got to be able to run the football. We got to figure it out.
Period.
We got to figure it out. If they can't do this, hey, pull the guard inside and pass it off, they're getting killed on stunts. I think they've never seen a stunt or a twist in their lives. It's
don't
incredible.
Start with the stunt.
What has Chris Morgan been doing? Chris Morgan's supposed to be the best offensive line coach in football, and they can't. I know, but that's what I'm saying though. They can't pass off a stunt to save their lives. You know how many times you watch the film and it's just pre-run. It's like, well, okay, well, what's happening here?
It's been their kryptonite for the last 3 seasons.
Right.
Let's take out personnel. So I'm talking about Cody and Patrick. That the stunt has been like, and it's anybody that doesn't know, we're just talking about 2 defensive linemen crossing. All right, that's all we're really saying. Throwing off the offensive, it's nothing. They've been doing it since the 60s. That part right there. It's one reason why you know how much I'm going to miss you in the future, just to talk football with you. The Coleman Shelton thing, we were just hammering this home last week. The fact that he was getting blown up. And if it's only way you can play it works if it's a 4-man rush. Because if he's soloed up, Lord have mercy. All right. And then his decision on when he's supposed to assist is also something you have to take into consideration. Because you had to play where the crosser came up in the inside. And this happens to offensive linemen. So I'm not just going to sit there and berate them like this can never happen. It happens.
You're not going to be perfect.
Exactly. You're not gonna be, but it's worse when the dam is broken, right? You said it as far as the tackles. I can only just hope Danielle Wright can figure it out, because that's really going to be an issue if that was a bust, or if, just like you said about Coleman Shelton, if he's a Jag and you gave up a pedigree of a top 15 pick for a player in that draft. But even in this draft, and I'm still on with, hey, you got Rome and my guy Joe Alt was gone. But I was hammering home, all this sounds good, but if you can't protect that quarterback, it's going to be issues, and we're still there. So behind the lines, and Josh is my insider, so I have to get my information and listen to him and parse through it because he knows what he's talking about. And I asked Josh, I said, Josh, at one point, and this is by no means am I throwing this on the feet of Chris Morgan, but at one point, when do we apply technique? And Josh was like, and I still think it starts there. We got to look at the decision makers and bringing the players in and we do. We have to. I think every conversation. I was out with Tony last night with a friend of ours, Sean Davis, and before Sean got there, Tony and I was talking about the offensive line, and I was saying that they need new eyes in there, and it's just about being honest. I don't care how you cover it up, how you do it, if no one wants to accept the blame, but you're going to have to need someone that's not viewing it the same way that Ian Cunningham and of course Ryan Post, 2 former offensive linemen. And I know all of us get tired of saying that because we always have to say that part because it sticks out with the lack of talent that they have at the offensive line. But you brought this rookie quarterback in. You're asking him to learn how to play from inside of the pocket when there virtually is no pocket, right? Your part. And I love, make sure when you go and you check out Josh's grades, all right, and his other article about the game on NBC Sports Chicago's website. There, it's great stuff or whatever. But when you're sitting there talking about how uncreative Shane Waldron was, and I want to ask you this, and you've been around several different programs in the pros. Yep. Does it take a second versus opposing players? Of course, you're going up against the Bears defense, and yes, the Bears defense is good, even though we don't necessarily think of their defensive line as being great, even though they've been doing what they need to do. You look at what they did last night. Credit to Matt Eberflus's defense, all right? Yep. And Eric Washington, credit to their defense.
No question.
In Houston on Sunday night. Yeah, and we'll get to the defensive side, but I want to give them props because people will put this on Matt Eberflus also, right? But what point I was trying to get to, does Shane Waldron need a few games to see versus the league what the true holes are on his offensive line? And in accord with Chris Morgan, to your point of trying to figure out how can we jig this up to where we can just sometimes, because you're not going to be able to do it all the time, but we can scheme how to run the damn ball. All right,
gotta run it.
It's not going to work
if you can't run it. The ears are pinned back. It doesn't matter.
That's it. It does. Right. If you can't run a rookie quarterback, if you can't run it,
gotta run the
ball. We may as well put Bajan in right now. I don't want Bajan to die.
You might as well sit Caleb for 15 games and rest him and be like, we'll get you a line next year because this is ridiculous. Yeah. You cannot. I mean, look at the stat. If we take out Caleb, DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 18 yards.
Crazy.
That's an $8 million back, and he's a good player, but there's nowhere to run.
There's no, dude, you said it, and this is one of the things so when I was writing my notes, I'm like, where are the offensive linemen on the second level, right? Like, like, where are they? Like, dude, the line on run plays, all right? Anybody that has anything ever to do with football a passion. Not to say offensive lineman, you get paid pass blocking, but when you run block, you get to dull out pain. All right, you don't like to just take it all the time and step back. No, you want to get out and hit a person, right?
Yeah.
That line on run plays was a pushed a yard back after height, and it's like, so what is Swift supposed to do when
he can't do anything?
There's no holes,
I think the problem is like this offensive line is built to run the ball. Like, so what's the issue? Is it the scheme? Are we not understanding how to play together? Is it too complex? Because Luke Getsy had all sorts of warts, like not all sorts of warts. Like his play calling was horrible. They ran the football. They could just line up, and we know Justin, he was part of it. But even without Justin, they were a top 10 run offense both years. They lined up and they would just punch you in the mouth. Darnell Wright, great run blocker. Tevin Jenkins, great run blocker. Braxton Jones is a good athletic tackle in the run game. Pass pro is the issue. Well, if you can't run the ball, the offense is not going to be functional. So I don't think it takes. You could say it takes a couple weeks maybe, but look at Clint Kubiak in New Orleans. He didn't need any time, and the Saints were abysmal offensively last year, and they are top. They're the number one team in play action. And you had Micah Parsons out there yesterday saying, like, man, I loved how they schemed against me. They were not let me solo up, right? They were not just chipping me, like they were sending backs out in formations and knocking me that way. They were keeping me off balance. Like, that's what you need. Like, Shane Waldron should already know. We have 5 months of this. You should know, hey, we got issues X, Y, and Z. We are good at this. Like, just scheme. Get the ball to DJ Moore. Okay, if Keenan Allen's hurt and Rome Odunze is still working through a knee and chemistry issues and he's learning the playbook, okay, let's get DJ the ball. I mean, you remember last year, not to go back to Getsy, when everyone was hurt, they just moved DJ in the slot, right? And they let DJ eat against a bad nickel in Atlanta and a bad safety. We got to do something, man. We got to get the ball out because when Caleb has time and it's in rhythm, first drive, 5 for 5, 55 yards, quick, on time, accurate. It all looks good. But when the line breaks down, all the stuff that he did at USC that everyone was like, that's not going to work. Guess what? It comes back because that's all he knows. Like the second pick, it's an inexcusable play. Like he can't throw that ball, but he's getting hammered. I mean, Daniil Hunter comes unblocked. He somehow shakes him off and he's like, cool, I got to make a play. I got to get this ball out. And of course it's going to be picked because he's not playing against bankers from Cal. Like these are grown ass men.
Right.
Who know how to play. You can't throw it, but what's he supposed to do?
That part right there, as far as what you have to do with the run game, I think is the most important aspect. And you know what? And again, we're sticking with the offensive side. What conflates it is right now you can see how the defense is better than it was last year. All right, because and now scoring wise, where we were saying perhaps you had to get to 27 to 30 points for this team, they don't have to do that. Right? Like if you could get to 22 points. You can have a winning record this year. You can again, and you can grow the offense later. You know, if you can sit there, effectively run the ball, hit play action to take advantage, as you said, move personnel around like DJ Moore, simplify, get in some form with Kari Blasingame, simplify this.
What is this like diamond formation, wing T stuff? No, junk that. Take all that out. Take all that out. It's great that it's great that Caleb is smart and he's handling all the protections. That's a ton to put on him. That is a lot to ask of a rookie quarterback. You think he's doing a pretty good job, but yeah, man, simplify it. Make it easy. Hey, get the guys together. What are we good at? Like, what are we really good at? Not what do we want to be good at? What can we do? How can we move the football? And let's do that.
And I want to get to Caleb. My last point to piggyback on what you said. One thing that Matty Eberflus has never done, and I don't think it's going to happen right now, I'm not saying it, he's never lost his locker room. You don't want to keep on pushing these defensive players to where you don't really care what's happening. Would give off the vibe, I should say, that perhaps you don't really care the effort that they keep displaying with what you're doing on that side of the ball because they're playing at an elite level. Josh, your thoughts on Caleb himself? Of course, it was hard for him because he was under duress the entirety of the game, but he did, as you pointed out, still gave up 2 interceptions for a quarterback that isn't necessarily known to be turnover prone. And we've talked a lot about bad habits being created. And this isn't on Caleb. If you're running for your life, bad habits are going to be created, just in general.
Yeah, the situation creates the bad habits. And I think if you you can't really separate his play from the line, right? That's always going to be part of the equation. But like I said, I thought really clean start. I thought the first drive, he was quick. He was on time. The accuracy that was gone last week was back. He talked about changing up his throwing routine before the game, and he felt better physically and felt like he was in a better rhythm. And I thought it looked like that. But man, once he started getting under pressure, man, the footwork was not good. He's just dropping straight back. Like he was bailing. It wasn't like 1-2, I'm gonna hang in and navigate this pocket. He was like, no, I got to get out of here. And then, he had that third down pass to DeAndre Carter where he overthrew me, had him wide open, and he doesn't set his feet right. He's doing the lean jump pass. It's like, and that's what you want to avoid. And the first pick, the one that didn't count, right? There was a DPI. That's inexcusable. You cannot jump pass across your body.
Crazy.
It's like, that's the kind of stuff. And he said after the game, he's like, I don't turn the ball over. And that's the worry, right? The worry is like, if he's going to get bludgeoned like this, you're going to get those bad habits. And that's really hard to get out of a young quarterback. We've seen, happen to Justin. We've seen it happen to, David Carr. The list is so long of rookie quarterbacks who are super talented, got the crap kicked out of them, footwork devolves, and they're just like, they never got right. They start seeing ghosts. And that was always the worry, right? Is like, you want to load up on weapons? Great. That's awesome. But you got to protect him, because it does not matter. It does not matter if you can't protect him. And I think here are the stats. Caleb Williams had a 4.9 passer rating against the blitz last night. That is the worst of any quarterback since 2016. They couldn't and look, DJ Moore talked about it. He was like, it's a copycat league. Teams are going to blitz us like crazy now until we show that we can beat it. And I guarantee you, Gus Bradley is cover 3 vanilla next week. He's going to blitz. I guarantee you the Rams are going to blitz because they don't have Aaron Donald. They're like, people are going to send 5 and 6 as much as possible because the Bears can't block it. And once they see Caleb trying to play hero ball, that's just back-to-back drives with picks, and both of them were just inexcusable. He's just got to throw it away. But that's what happens when you're pressured 36 times. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
You cannot be pressured 36 times.
You have to be the GOAT to pull something off in situations. You have to be one of the rare great quarterbacks when you're under that much duress consistently after half of the time you're under duress. All right. And let alone, as you pointed out, uncreative play calling. So you're not even being set up on the positive times to necessarily succeed. And one thing that Brad Biggs wrote in the Tribune, he got a quote from Danielle Hunter. And Danielle Hunter said, if you dissect the O-line, the quarterback can't really do anything. One way to affect the quarterback is by beating the O-line, and we did a pretty good job as a defense. I played them last year. I feel like some of the players are still there. They still have the same tendencies. I just passed it on to my teammates. Might help them rush better. Maybe it did. To your point of a copycat league and what everyone is going to see moving forward as
think what did the Vikings do with Danielle Hunter last year? They blitzed Justin like crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And this goes up top to where, what are we going to do to change this? Because whatever you've been doing, and I think the Bears front office is a really good front office.
Yeah.
Nobody hits, and we talk that on this all the time. Nobody hits. We talk about players. Nobody hits in one group. Like every team usually has a deficiency in one area of, we don't do well with that.
Yeah, the Patriots and receivers, they couldn't do it.
I was just going to go with them. Just in situations like, listen, White Sox fans, everyday players, a lot of times as you pitching, we can do it. But everyday players, a lot of times it's an issue. And people, and sometimes as an organization, you have to be honest and go back to the drawing board. You may have to and talk about what is taking place. What are we consistently doing that is having this happen, where the O-linemen that we bring in, even the ones that are talented, there still seems to be some issue with them being a cohesive unit that can effectively take care of a quarterback. We know in the past, we don't know this season, we know they can run block. I would hope they can get back to that with having majority of the same players in-house. And what you would think, even with Shelton, healthier player at center than what you had last year with an aged Cody Whitehair and Patrick being a player that was in and out due to injury, often being a super sub for the Packers prior to the Bears bringing him in here. But yeah, that was just hard. Was there anything on the offensive side, Josh, that stood out to you that you want to go over before we switch over to defense?
No, I think it's very clearly, from talking to guys in the locker room, I talked to DJ, Rome, Cole, Tevin, Braxton, Coleman Shelton. They knew it was going to be a process. Like they know that. They know, and it's not on Caleb. But I think it was pretty clear that even Cole said, he said, NFL reality is kind of punching us in the mouth right now. Like we thought we were going to like be dynamic and like we knew there'd be steps. But we thought we could come out kind of fired, and we've been kind of humbled, right? Like we kind of been put in our place these first 2 games. And I think it's going to take longer than people think. And it's really up to Shane Waldron. Like, I talked about the pass to DeAndre Carter on 3rd and 4 that Caleb missed. That's also a bad play call on 3rd and 4. That's a long developing route. Like, where is the 5-yard like rub route to DJ? Let's move the sticks. Let's get things going. And then if we want to do the Lincoln Riley no huddle like they did and just get in a rhythm, that's fine. But there are just no easy plays. There just are not. Like that. Everything is like pulling teeth. Like they are like, think about the 3rd and inches. Quarterback sneak, they get stuffed. 4th inches, they run it with Herbert, and they only get it because Tevin Jenkins had to come from the backside and push him over. Like they got no push. Like nothing is coming easy, and I don't think it's going to come easy next week. I mean, even if Keenan Allen, when he comes back, it's just going to like they got to figure it out. Shane Waldron's got to go back to the drawing board and just really, really have some schemed up, easy stuff to get Caleb in a rhythm and just to move the chains. Like you cannot be going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, right? And like you get the running game is like if we're sitting here next Sunday and DeAndre Swift has 15 carries for 20 yards again,
it's a problem.
You're not gonna be successful. You're just not.
I'll say this before we move over to the defensive side of the ball. Defense play well. I will have faith. And I think we're a realist podcast. We don't just, but we also want, the Bears to be well. I'll have faith that we know this offensive line can run block. And sometimes it takes times for our offensive line to gel. And perhaps, I'm not saying that this is going to mean the offense is going to take off, but I think you still have the players in that room that can get out there and get the run game going in the way that it needs to be going. Because once you do that, you just have to simplify. The thing that we were talking about, you just have to simplify this. Your point on the long 3rd down pass that they had to DeAndre Carter hits it right on the head when you said they should do a rub with DJ, where it's the situational aspect complicated by the fact of knowing what your team is able to do at this point. Like that's what makes it bad. Like you don't have the time to do that, and there's still a 1st down available to you 4 yards away. What are you doing? Let alone giving another opportunity for this young quarterback to get hit. Let's also, it's not just the sacks, everybody. It's the times that they get touched. That's the thing you have to remember.
And he was getting tagged.
Yeah, and that's as they should, because that's what they're supposed to do.
Of course,
your free lick. Get your free lick in.
Yeah,
I want our defensive players to do it. But
send a message.
He's not the biggest guy. Like, regardless of whatever, he's as talented as what. Caleb isn't the biggest dude. You have to find way. You have to protect him, of course, with the pass pro, but you have to protect him by getting the ball out of his hands so he doesn't take these needless hits.
Also the backs have been awful in pass pro. Like we know Khalil's got his pro. Like Swift has been not good. Like they have to play homer because the backs can't pass pro, and that's a problem based on the scheme where they're pulling a guard and they're asking Cole to go across the formation and block Will Anderson one-on-one with back help. It's like, what are we doing? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of this? Like,
know your personnel.
I don't understand. Yeah, exactly. What are you doing?
Know your personnel. And I hope Shane Waldron can get this figured out. It's still just 2 games into the season with the game with the Colts coming up. But your point, now
one touchdown in 2 games. It's terrible.
With all this money spent, these picks given away, that at this point, and the crazy part is you should be able to score points just running the damn ball. Like that's the point. Yeah, that's the point. Yes. Like that's where it's kind of like woe is me. All right. Let's bring in a little bit of sunshine to all the murky, dismal. Bears defense against a hell of a quarterback. All right, this CJ Stroud is him.
You want to talk about make it look easy,
dude.
CJ, just everything he does, make it look easy.
That play, that scramble to the sideline, the layer on that bad boy. Because when you see it, it's like, wait, no. Oh, that layering and how he hit that. Nico Collins deserves every penny that he got his hands on last year. But when you look at who the Texans are, what they did, the Texans are exactly who the Bears, and we already know this is who the Bears want to be. But I mean it from the point of you want to be able to score 19 points to get out of there with a victory. Like that's real football where CJ doesn't have to be whiz kid him every time that he's out there. He can sit there, not turn over the ball. CJ Stroud, 23 of 36 for 260 yards, 1 TD, a rating of 94. Did everything he had to do against a nice defense yesterday, but guess what? He still came out of there with the win, man. Slowick dialed it up properly.
Let's say Slowick, right? It's Slowick understanding, okay, we don't need to go at Jalen Johnson. Like, Tyrique Stevenson is going to give us a couple. He's a good corner, but he's going to give us a couple. And if I get Nico Collins on him enough times, he's going to have 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. And that might be all we need because our defense is eating.
Dude, I mean, when you got those weapons of one, you got Nico, you got Diggs, you got Dale, like, and then Joe Mixon. Like that was getting Joe Mixon is kind of unfair, to be honest with you. At this point in his career, he still got that nice tread on the tire, being as versatile. You think about Joe Mixon a lot as being a strong, fast, but a strong running back. But then when you see him split out and that was what we were expecting to see here with Devontae Swift. You know, taking advantage of his ability in the pass game. But you mentioned it, Tyrique Stevenson. What about Tyrique right now, Josh? How do we evaluate? We talk about a lot that everything because of Jalen Johnson, what his performance has been so far the last couple of years and within the NFL. Most teams wisely send everything to the young second-year player. Your thoughts on his performance and the growth or lack thereof, perhaps from your viewership that you think of Tyrique and how he played yesterday.
No, I think he's showing growth. I think this is just who he is. I think he is like, if Jalen Johnson is your like elite cover guy, like Tyrique's he's the boom bust. Like he's going to have some big plays like we saw last week, and he's going to give up a couple, and that's okay. Like I think he's gotten a lot better with the penalties. I know he had one, last night, but he's gotten a lot better with knowing how to use his hands. He's really talented. Like I think he's improving, but there's just more opportunities for him to mess up because teams are just not going to throw at Jalen Johnson if they don't have to. There's just no reason to. Like, unless Tyrique Stevenson shows you if you throw my way too, it's going to be an issue. They're just going to take that chance. And when you can have a guy like Nico Collins, I mean, he's like, they're just going to go at you. And they gave the touchdown and we talked to him and he said it wasn't a blown coverage. He was like, hey, we were in cover 3, Buzz. I was in my zone and I look back and he's in the end zone. He's like, I passed him off to the second level. And that's not on Tyrique, right? If it's not a blown, if he's in his zone, that is what it is. So I think Tyrique is he's a really good number.
He tossed himself. He got from up under that real quick when I read that quote. It was like, hey, that was not me.
hey, I would like it on record. I did not talk trash and then blow my assignment. I want that on record. I want that on the record. I did not talk trash and then blow my assignment for a touchdown that cost us the game. That was not on me.
And Nico Collins looks so big out there, Josh.
He is. But also, we talked about the Texans. What and who the Bears want to be the Texans? What do they have? They have an elite left tackle. They've got really good guards. I mean, the Bears defense played their ass off, man. And I've been kind of skeptical of the defense just because they really ate against bad quarterbacks last year. Like, yeah, they punked Desmond Ridder, and they, they messed with Josh Dobbs and they messed with Joe Flacco and they played well against Love. This was a real test. And I thought all the stuff the Bears defense talked all training camp was, we're going to be number 1. Like, now we're going to be elite, but we can be number 1. It was like, man, okay, I got to have to see it against a guy like this. And early on, CJ Stroud was picking them apart. He was so surgical for the first 2-3 drives. And once again, Matty Flus, they went to halftime, and whatever adjustments they made, man, they didn't give anything else up. So it tells you, like you said, this defense can win them a lot of football games, but the Bears, they just have to score 20 points, really. Like, they're probably going to have a couple bad games, but if you can hold CJ Stroud to 19 points, you can pretty much do it against almost anyone. With those weapons that he has on that team, with the computer that he has in his hand and the physical talent that he has, I mean, he's insane. I cannot impress upon you watching it live how insane CJ Stroud is.
Okay, Kansas City. I'm just asking you a question. What offenses have more balance as far as quarterback and the weapons provided to said quarterback? Kansas City. Yeah. Maybe I don't think they will, but maybe a healthy Tua in Miami. But I wouldn't put them above that. I think Josh Allen's a stud, but I don't think their offensive
they don't have the
weapons.
They don't have the
They don't
weapons.
have the weapons. Like
I would say maybe Philly.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I think that's a good one. That's a good one. Maybe Philly, but what you're talking about, and this is always the plan of a quarterback in his rookie deal, because you can provide him with said weapons on both sides of the ball. But you're looking at that offense with that young whiz kid, all right? Yeah. And you stifled him. You basically second half, you took it away from him. You shut him down. And it wasn't even Josh, talk about the pressure, because you're not talking about still pressure straight from the guys, the front four guys, but Javon Dexter that got there, Tremaine got there on that blitz, and I think Jack Sanborn had a sack too. Your thoughts on the amount of pressure that Matt Eberflus is providing, either from the down lineman or out bringing some heat with the blitz formations?
No, I think once again, I think Flus has, and I've been very critical of Flus as a head coach. I think as a defensive play caller, he's elite. Like, he has a really good feel for, this is when we can get it with 4. We can't get it with 4. How do we simulate it? How do we mug? What do we like changing the picture? I think he's phenomenal. And especially in the second half, like once Matt Eberflus gets a feel for what the OC on their side wants to do, he's really good at, in the moment, the 10 minutes at halftime, being like, all right, cool. No, this is what we're going to do because this is what they want to do. And I mean, I think, for a defensive line that other than Montez Sweat is, it's the question mark, right? They played tremendous, man. They've played their tails off. And I think that's a credit to Eric Washington. That's a credit to Matt Eberflus and the scheme, and just the ability to say, okay, this is what Shane Waldron doesn't do for the Bears offense, Matt Eberflus does for the Bears defense. He knows what all of his players are good at and how to help them make each other better. And it's also a credit to the effort that the defense plays with. Like, they are hair on fire. Like, I mean, the Texans are at the 3-yard line, going in for the kill shot. They need a turnover and they get the fumble, right? Like, this is it's an opportunistic defense. And I think they really relish being the side of the ball that is carrying the team, right? They like Caleb. They believe in Caleb, but they also really like the fact that they have to carry them right now because they think they can do it. And they clearly can, but Shane Waldron can just learn from Matt Eberflus. He really can. If Shane Waldron can figure out how to do for the offense what Flus can do for the defense, then the Bears will start figuring it out. But all credit to Matt Eberflus and Eric Washington, man. They have been incredible. I mean, Kyler Gordon, I know it wasn't a pick. When Kyler, that was an insane jump and almost pick. I was like, okay, yeah, bad challenge, awful challenge, horrible challenge. The ball hit the ground twice, but damn, Kyler.
I think we all want to be greedy, and perhaps it would have benefited the Bears had they had turnovers this game. But you can't get they stifled them to 19 points. Now, to get a victory, we need 19 points and 2 or 3 turnovers to give the offense maybe some extra chances. We don't know if they would succeed.
You got to place the ball at the 10. Come on, offense.
Like, it's like
if you would have told Matt Eberflus yesterday, hey, you're going to give up 19 points, he'd have been like, cool, take it to the bank. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Yeah, right.
Velus was inactive. It seems like the smart move. I love how they featured DeAndre Carter to take advantage, particularly with Keenan having the bumps and bruises. Anything else, one defensively, but even just from the locker room, Josh, that stood out to you before we get up out of here?
No, I mean, I talked to Rome. Obviously, he should have come down with the ball in the end zone. He's got to catch that, right? The quick slant. He's got to catch it. He's got to catch it.
It was a little high, but both hands. You got
to catch it. You got to catch it. And then on the catch he had on their final drive, he said he took the wrong angle. He was like, if I take the right angle, I probably house it and we win the game. Like I said, they're really searching for answers, man, on offense. I think they're very not surprised, but they're a little shell-shocked, I think they're a little shell-shocked at how they've just been punched in the mouth and have not been able to do what they want to do. Like DeAndre Swift was like, yeah, I mean, it starts with me. And I didn't say it, but I was like, I don't really think it starts with you, man. I don't think you have anywhere to go. Like, it starts with the 5 guys up front. Like they just have to be better. And it starts with Darnell Wright and Tevin Jenkins. Those 2 guys are your best offensive linemen. They got to be better. They got because Coleman Shelton is just going to be Coleman Shelton. Right. He's not going to all of a sudden wake up tomorrow and be Frank Ragnow. It's just not going to happen.
Correct.
But if Tevin Jenkins is going to be bad and Darnell Wright's looking like a 6th-round pick and not the number 10 overall pick, they have no chance.
Man, one of those small defensive linemen threw Tevin Jenkins down on the ground.
Yes.
And I was like, Tevin, you know, we don't play that like that. I'm going to tell you, Josh, and I'm not just saying it to say it. I think the offensive line and run, I'm just saying as for right now, run-wise, I think I have faith they may be able to figure that out. I really do. Because I think this, and he was definitely
– we have proof of concept.
That's it. That's it right there. We have proof. And also, you have a capable head coach that knows that, one, my ass is on the line here. So, like, regardless of –
guess what? If they go 6-11, having a good defense ain't going to save you.
Nobody's going to give you another chance to bring in another offensive coordinator. At one point, the next head coach is going to be an offensive-minded guy, and they're just going to go probably with that. But so it's either
it'll be Ben Johnson.
But the point being, I have faith that Matt Eberflus is going to, what are you doing? Like, real talk. All right, I kind of let you do your thing. We need to get back to doing this because we can stifle these teams enough where we don't need you to do everything with this young quarterback. Take some time to take some pages out the playbook. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's time to stat the pages out.
Well, and I think that should be the value of Flus right now, is being so good as a defensive minded guy. Yep. He should be able to go to Shane and be like, from a defensive standpoint, this is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This is what I would hate to see if I'm doing that. Like, if I'm doing this to you, what I don't want you to do is X, Y, and Z. So let's start building that into to handle the blitz and get Caleb comfortable. Because if he gets sacked 5 more times against the Colts and pressured another 30 times,
dude,
you're not going to win these games. I don't care how good the weapons are. He has no time. He can't step up in the pocket. He's throwing off his front foot. He's doing jump pass across that's not going to work here.
No, it is not.
It's not
in the NFL.
Not going to work here. No, it's not going to work.
All right, Josh, that's it.
He can do the good stuff. He can do the structure stuff. He can do the pocket stuff, but he's got to have a pocket.
He has to have a pocket. There's no pocket to do anything. Right. There's no climbing the pocket. That even though that you know what that was.
He could climb it into Cole Michon's ass.
That's what,
because it's right in his lap. He could do that.
Right, and I mean, there was early in the first quarter where the pocket was collapsing, and he still climbed it and had that pass towards the sideline. And so you see, the good habits he's trying to reinforce. Right. But man, this is hard on a young QB. But I think the offensive line can remedy the run situation. Pass blocking, I don't know about that, Josh. But
it's gotta be scheme. It's gotta be scheme stuff. Pass blocking.
Yeah,
you gotta scheme it. You gotta scheme it up. You gotta patch it up with the scheme. But you gotta run. They can run the ball. Like, just put your feet in the dirt and go forward. You can do that. We've seen it.
Doc, you have to get off the bus expecting at least 32 to 35 run plays, like, for real. With between the Swift, between Khalil Herbert and whoever gets a few more, if it's Homer or what.
You have they have Cobweb, Roshan. I mean, that's what.
And that's the guy. The crazy part.
That's not good at all.
It's not good. It's for 2 reasons. One, you sold us, you gave us a lot, and I'm not even coming at Roshan about this. But also in this situation, and one, there's no holes for a running back, but this is where you need a bruiser in the first place. To tire out and beat up on a defense. And that's what Roshan is supposed to provide. So you don't even have the running back that's tiring and wearing out those defensive linemen to allow later on in the game for you to take advantage in gashing run plays and then pass plays, because those defensive players have been taking a beating because they're going up against a big size running back like a Roshan.
Right. And if you need to like cobweb the 11 personnel stuff right now, go 2-3 tight end, just line up and run it go vertical, go north south, just punch them in the mouth. If you cannot figure out how to run it out of 11, okay, fine, then don't run it out of 11.
It's particularly with Keenan Allen hurt, you may as well.
You don't need to be an 11. I like DeAndre Carter. He can get 12 snaps a game.
That part right there, where you can sit there, hopefully Mercedes Lewis, Father Time, and get him over this offseason. But if you have to, put both tight ends out there and run the damn rock, like, period. Right. End of question. Yeah. All right. That's, of course, Josh Schrock, Tony Gill, and Clara running the show. Always shout out to our new former partner, Alex Shapiro. We do have hopes that the Bears are going to necessarily take a victory away from the Indianapolis Colts. Their young quarterback went through some duress yesterday, and hopefully the Bears defense can provide that same angst to a young Anthony Richardson. I appreciate you, Josh, and Tony, and Claire, and we look forward to talking to you with our preview game later on this week. Everybody, please be safe, and hopefully we get us a Bears victory. So they're only 1-1, everybody. This is not full of despair just yet.
Congrats, you finished the video. If you want to build on that success, download the NBC Sports Chicago app. It's got highlights, exclusive insights, and push alerts tailored to you. Everything you need to be a real Chicago sports fan. Download it now.